Ciao a tutti ragazzi, questa è la mia prima video lezione, quindi vi prego di essere clementi, anche perché è abbastanza mm, strano per me utilizzare questa modalità. Comunque, ce ne faremo una ragione. I'll do my best, as usual. Ok, iniziamo ad affrontare un'importantissima scrittrice del Novecento, Virginia Woolf. Una scrittrice interessante quanto controversa, che sperimentò nella sua vita ehm, parecchi lutti, in particolare quello della madre quando aveva solo 13 anni, ebbe un rapporto molto controverso con suo padre, ebbe anche una serie di abusi dai suoi fratellastri e questo la segnò profondamente, per cui nel resto della sua vita soffrì di depressione che la portò a essere ricoverata più volte e alla fine a commettere suicidio. Questo per darvi un po' la visione d'insieme di una scrittrice che in qualche modo non dovete pensare che si arrese, perché come avremo modo di dire nel romanzo Mrs. Dalloway, nel suicidio di Septimus, che è poi l'alter ego di Virginia, la morte può essere considerata anche una liberazione dalle sofferenze e dalle costrizioni sociali. E Virginia, nonostante si sposò con un uomo, visse una vita da bisessuale, per cui si sentì sempre costretta in una sorta di involucro di una vita preconfezionata che non sentì mai completamente come sua. Ok, se siete pronti, partiamo. Virginia was the daughter of Leslie Stephen, who was a very important Victorian man of letters. This man had a great library, and she grew up in an intellectual atmosphere. She didn't go to school apart from from some lessons, and her education consisted mainly of private lessons. During her childhood, she experienced the death of her mother when she was 13, but also the sexual abuse of her stepbrothers. All these events had as consequence mental breakdowns. These breakdowns led her to nursing homes and later to commit suicide. In 1905, she started her literary career and became the member of the Bloomsbury Group, a very famous group of intellectuals of the time who used to gather to meet at Virginia's house or at her sister Vanessa's house and to discuss about aesthetics or politics or writing in general. And the two prominent figures of the group were the writer Foster and the economist Keynes. In 1912, Virginia married Leonard, but she was bisexual, and together with her husband, they started the Hogarth Press. With the Hogarth Press, they published most of the most important novels and works of the modernist writers, such as, for example, The Waste Land by Eliot. As the Second World War broke out, her sense of anxiety and fears rose up, and she finally committed suicide, putting rocks into her pockets and drowning herself in the river House. In her literary career, Virginia wrote down traditional novels like The Voyage Out and Night and Day, but also experimental novels like Jacob's Room and Mrs. Dalloway and To the Lighthouse, where the technique of the stream is completely achieved. Finally, in his work Orlando, she develops the theme of androgyny and women and the position of time and women in society. And in the essay Room of One's Own, she develops feminist ideas. Virginia is considered a modernist novelist because she gives voice to the complex inner world of feeling and memories of her characters. So her novels do not develop stories, but they concentrate on the feelings and emotions of their characters. The narrator doesn't know anything, so it is not an omniscient narrator, and the point of view shifts through flashbacks, associations, impressions. The final idea of her novels is of a continuous flux of feelings. As Virginia said in modern fiction, life is not a series of jig lamps symmetrically arranged. This means that life is not a series of events which happen chronologically. Life is a luminous halo, a semi-transparent envelope, surrounding us from the beginning and to the end. And in this idea, she develops the idea of time by Bergson, which establishes not a chronological and objective idea of time, on the contrary, a subjective idea of time. In Mrs. Dalloway, this concept of time is completely achieved, since all the book develops in one day, from day to night. During this day, Clarissa is organizing her party. So she is buying some flowers and she's organizing everything for the party. She meets people during the day, and while all these insignificant things happen, another person, Septimus Smith, a war veteran, goes through the town with a wife, and during the party, Clarissa knows that Septimus has committed suicide. There is a very close relationship between Clarissa and Septimus. Excuse me. Since Clarissa is 51, she is the wife of a very important person, a member of parliament, Richard Dalloway. She has a very conventional life and she organizes parties for important people. When she was young, she refused to marry Peter Walsh, a man who appears as a real man and who would force her to share everything, while she decided to marry Richard because this was the best way to live a life without any problems. So this idea, this choice, makes us understand that on the one hand, Clarissa wants to find peace in her marriage, social acceptation. On the other hand, she's a person who feels a sense of weakness and failure. On the other hand is Septimus, alter ego, the poet in love with Shakespeare, that suffers from shell shock. And as we studied, shell shock was the illness of the soldiers who came to war. All the men who fought during the First World War suffered for shell shock. In the end of the book, Septimus commits suicide. So Septimus is the biographical figure of the book, and this story looks like the story of the author of Virginia Woolf. As for the technique used, the book develops the stream of consciousness and interior monologue. The stream, as we said before, is the flow of thoughts, feelings, and perceptions of the characters. As we read the book, characters jump from one argument to another, from past to present, and sometimes it is very difficult to understand what is happening. The technique used to stress the stream is the interior monologue, which can be direct if we have inverted commas, le virgolette, or indirect if we don't have inverted commas. The final idea of the book is that we have two main concepts, the stream of consciousness and the moments of being. The stream is the use of mainly indirect interior monologue to express the thoughts of the characters, but this flow is logical, is controlled. Virginia uses commas, full stop, and so it is very easy to understand who is speaking and what he is saying. There is still logical and grammatical organization in the book, and the style is very poetic. In Joyce, there will be a break with the logical and grammatical organization of the sentence. In Virginia, the moments of being are the rare moments in which her characters stop for an instant their daily life and detach from appearance. And this idea is very close, to Joyce and to Pirandello, as we will study in a following lesson. Ok, adesso ragazzi, prima di chiudere la registrazione, voglio solo dirvi di utilizzare l'audio lezione e il PowerPoint come guida, ma di seguire bene le istruzioni che vi fornirò tramite registro elettronico e di fare le attività che saranno inserite all'interno del registro. Vi ringrazio.